Hey everyone, this is Lee with Untapped Potential. We're doing part 4 of Jace's campaign today. Knowing one side's plans isn't enough. Alhammer needs intel from both sides for successful arbitration, so you're off again. You run into more troops than you were expecting. Someone important must be visiting the camp, which raises the challenge and the potential reward. If you'll recall last time, we invaded one army's camp, read their minds to get their strategic information, and now we're doing the same thing to the other side. These guys, I think, caught us though, because we're going to have a heck of a fight against the Ampryn Corps soldiers here. We have a good hand with a good curve, including a 2-drop and several 4-drops, and then we draw a 3-drop on our first turn, so we curve out perfectly. Our opponent is also curving out well, and as we find out now, it's a white weenie deck where he's just going to be running out as many soldiers as he can. Well, we go ahead and throw out an early blocker in order to keep his offense from getting to us too quickly. And he does go ahead to declare attacks, and we decide to go ahead and block it in order to keep the field from getting clogged up. We have a good feeling this guy's probably running an Ampryn Tactician or two in his deck, and that gets way too good the more creatures you have. We're drawing a lot of land very quickly, and hopefully we will stop with that soon. Spoiler alert, we really kinda don't. Illusory Dragon comes out here, and we attack with our 2/2 unblockable in order to get in for some damage while we can. And at the end of the turn, the opponent gains 7 life. It's gonna be one of those games, folks. Alright, so clearly our opponent's not in any hurry for us to get done here. And even though we can do 7 damage this turn with our flyer and our unblockable, which we do, we're not any closer to defeating our opponent than we were last turn. Now normally I would say that cards that are strictly life gain like that really aren't that great. And here's a problem. So Captain the Watch enters the battlefield, makes all his soldiers stronger, and brings 3 tokens with her. I kinda wish I had kept up cancel mana here. And the thing is, I can't just return it to the hand with Separatist Void Mage to make the things weaker, or they'll just replay it and, get tremendous card advantage. I don't have enough mana to do both that and keep cancel up for when it comes back. So I go ahead and make some blocks here, hoping our opponent doesn't have a combat trick. Guess what? They do, and it's a good one. So instead of eating all 3 of their dudes like I expected, I only get to take care of 2 of them. And here comes Enlistment Officer to search our opponent's deck for the top 3 cards, taking all soldiers he finds. Well, so much for his empty hand, as now he has 3 more soldiers that he can run out. Our opponent's going wide here, and there's really not much we can do about it. We now can cast Separatist Void Mage, which we do use to return his small creature. And in hindsight, I probably should have returned the big one, but as you can see, our opponent's going to win by just pure cust numbers at this point. We counterspell his creature that would let him draw more cards the more small creatures he plays, as we really can't afford to let his hand get any bigger. And we continue to just draw lands and not terribly impressive creatures ourselves. What I say, a lot of land. I think about attacking here with the 5/5 and realize that no, I have to keep him up for blocking on the swing back. Speaking of the swing, here it comes. So it's time to make some blocks. Mostly we gotta get the big guy off the field. I double blocked that guy forgetting he has first strike, which was officially just completely stupid of me. That was the second big punt of the game. So we run out another island, we have cancel mana up, but our opponent has a lot of dudes and we can only block 1 of them per turn. And we always have to take the chance he may have a combat trick. Of course he does, but we have cancel this time. I'm also glad the opponent wasn't paying attention and didn't just target my creature with one of his things, which would kill it instantly. It's kind of a weird nombo there, but they didn't think of it. We reach land number 10 with still only 1 creature on the board to defend ourselves, and our opponent is swinging at us with 4 creatures per turn. We can block 1 at a time. So I imagine, even though our creature's bigger and we will win all these combats, the fact of the matter is, there's land number 11, the fact of the matter is we just can't make these blocks. We think we're alive until our opponent plays Veteran Swordsmith, giving all his dudes an extra power, at which point, no, we're not surviving the turn. We make our blocks and we get defeated. So, let's try that again. Okay, so now we know that we need to be aware of the fact that our opponent definitely will be going wide, and around turn 6, we need to try to have a counterspell mana up, if at all possible, for the really big guy that totally threw us for a loop last time. So we keep a new hand here with only 2 lands, but it does have a Jace's Phantasm, which combined with the Sphinx's Tutelage we have in our hand, seems like it'll work pretty well. We also hit our 3rd land because, well, we've had no trouble hitting lands all day, why start now? The opponent seems to have a slightly less potent start than last time. They attack here, and even though my creature could get real big, I just decide again to make some early trades. All the opponent has is the 1/1 though, which isn't terribly threatening, which is good because we don't have a turn 2 play. So our opponent plays their 3rd land, swings in, hits us for 1. I don't expect them to use combat tricks to push in for extra damage, as it just seems like a really bad use of resources, and since they still only have 1 power out, I take the time now to play the Tutelage. We're not going to get a better chance. So another damage comes our way, and then the opponent plays an Elite Vanguard, so they still haven't found any of their big threats, and I hope it stays that way. And there's Psychic Spiral, which if we continue to start aggressively milling, might work out. We play the Void Mage here to return the card to his hand in order to buy ourselves some time and maintain some field control. He plays the same creature again. We don't bother to counter because we can't, but now that we have cancelled, which we just drew, we can. Unfortunately, our opponent's deck was stacked so that the lands were pretty well distributed, as we've yet to hit more than a single 2 cards per turn, and then he goes and gains 7 more life, because of course he does. So we have 2 damage coming our way, which we trade for the Separatist Void Mage. Here comes Mentor of the Meek, here comes me saying, nah, we're not doing that. Again, we need to keep him with as few resources as possible. And this time we hit Pay Dirt and mill him for 4, so it's starting to work out. We also now have a 3/3 flyer on the field, which will block fairly aggressively. Our opponent's attacking here, and we figure that, well, of course they have a combat trick, and it's 1 damage. Let him hit me. We go ahead and mill again here, 2 more cards come off the top, and we play the Dragon for a bigger body that we can use to start beating down our 27 life opponent. We swing in for 3 here with the Nimbus. And the opponent's turn, he plays the Enlistment Officer, gets to look at his top 4 cards, and this time he only gets 1 instead of 3. But it is another Mentor of the Meek, and unfortunately at this point, there's nothing I can do about it. So, we mill our opponent again for a substantial number of cards this time, and we just play another Nimbus, this time swinging in the air for 8, which puts our opponent on a 3-turn clock. Now down to 2 turns. So he does big attacks here for reasons I'm not quite sure of. I mean, what are the odds he has a combat trick? Oh, come on, you knew he was going to have a combat trick. Unfortunately, I was hoping it would be the +1/+1 thing that we've seen before, and not what we got, but, you know, whatever. We have 8 power, he's still on a 2-turn clock. We also go ahead and play another creature and attack in the air to put our opponent at 8. Unless our opponent does something pretty big next turn, we will actually just simply be able to beat him down. And again, what are the odds that he'll have a combat trick? Oh, are you kidding me? Fortunately though, it doesn't change the fact that we're still alive, and we've got 8 powers worth of flying in the air. So we're just going to be able to attack and win anyway. We play a second Sphinx's Tutelage just for giggles, and then we attack, and we successfully defeat the Ampryn Corps soldiers. You deal with the guards and find the general who's visiting the camp. You delve into his mind and see detailed battle plans. But then you go further. You read his memories and see a meeting with a shadowy informant, one with a familiar face. Yours. Oh man, guys, so we've been here before, and they remember us. Why don't we remember it? Stay tuned next time, guys, for the exciting conclusion of Jace's storyline. As always, this is Lee with Untapped Potential. Thanks for watching.